My role today is to, in fact, leave you with more questions than answers. I'm hoping that at the end of this 12 minutes, I've given you a sense of edgy curiosity around some things that you might like to explore a little bit more in terms of the life that you would like to be living and the landscape that you need to create to increase the odds that that's indeed the life that you can live every day. So that's my goal here in 12 minutes. It's a landscape, and when we talk about the word flourishing, we actually need to establish what that actually means. Unfortunately, of recent times, the word happiness and flourishing has turned into unicorns and rainbows, and unicorns and rainbows all the time. Now, I don't know if there's anyone in the room who actually does experience a life of unicorns and rainbows 24/7. Let me know who you are so I can touch you before I go home. But it's become one of those myths that unfortunately we've started to buy into. But in essence, flourishing is really two things. And I'm going to, I guess, throw a little bit of hardcore science at you because this is not my opinion. This is actually, it's something that some people have spent their whole life researching in terms of what it is that's best about the human condition. Success. I want you to think about what success means to you, and if you've been to any type of wanky leadership program ever, you will have been asked, what does success look like? Yep, so we're going to just burn that manual, okay? But we are what's called, and here's a fancy schmancy word, teleological, which means we are built to have a purpose. We are built to have a reason for taking one step after the other after the other. Has anyone ever had a period of time in their life where they had no sense of why they were taking the next step? We often call it being a bit aimless. Does anyone remember a time in their life? Maybe you're having it now, but you've potentially had it in the past where you just went, I don't know. Yes, you did still put your left foot after your right foot, but there was something missing, okay? And that's what success is. Success is the fact that whatever we choose to pursue, and we all pursue different things, but what we've got in common is that it's actually built into our human nature to pursue something. And so when we take steps in the direction of what we're pursuing, we get a sense of success, okay? So it doesn't matter what it is. You want a fast car, you want the penthouse apartment, you want a big salary, awesome, great, pursue it. Very rarely is the goal the problem. However, it actually comes with something else as well, which is well-being. And well-being is a sense of satisfaction, fulfillment, meaning and purpose. And the two of those need to both be present in order for us to experience moments of flourishing. And here's the key. Flourishing happens in moments. It doesn't happen in whole lifetimes. No one has a complete, absolute 24/7 flourishing day. Nope, because someone cuts you off on the freeway. And there goes your flourishing. Okay, it's real hard to turn to that person and go, thank you so much for giving me a lesson in patience. I'm so grateful for you. Nope, flourishing, whoop, out the window. Okay, flourishing happens in moments. So what I want you to think about is, what are you pursuing? What are you choosing to pursue at any given time? But at the same time, what gives you a sense of meaning and purpose and fulfillment? The challenge in today's environment is that they're usually competitive. Success often comes at the expense of satisfaction and fulfillment. Anyone tried really hard to get that thing that they got, and then they got it, and like the world was meant to change in that moment, and there was no ticker tape parade. And you'd put everything in that basket going, man, when I get my degree, when I get the second bathroom, so there's not like 8 of us using the same bathroom, the world will change. Imagine how good stuff will be when I get that second bathroom. And then a little bit, on average about 3 months later, now you've just got 2 bathrooms to clean. It didn't actually make that big a significance, but you worked so hard to save up and to get to that point. So success is often at the expense of well-being, or for many people, well-being comes at the expense of success. They believe in order for them to remain in a good space, they've got to give up stuff. They can't pursue their dream. They can't have what they want. They've got to make sacrifices in order to create well-being. Some people sadly have neither. So they miss out on both counts. The big question is it even possible to have both? So is that possible? Well, I'm here to challenge you and say this is absolutely something worth pursuing, okay? And there's an empirical framework. Science says that yes, if we can cultivate an environment where people can be at their best, if we cultivate an environment where people can play to their strengths, if we cultivate an environment where people can make a contribution to something bigger than themselves that gives them a sense of meaning and purpose, it doesn't matter what they're doing, they'll do it better, so they'll tick success, and they'll experience high levels of well-being, they'll tick flourish. That's what gives us moments of flourishing. Now, 5 things I want you to think about. And these are empirically derived. These are 5 areas of our landscape in which we live. And by the way, remember, there's no perfect landscape. There is if you pay the landscape gardener to come and create it for you, and it's perfect on that day. Take a photo of it, because it doesn't last long, does it? Without a fair bit of work, okay? Attention and awareness is the first one. Just letting you know, guys, that the clock says 11 minutes 59, so I'm going to be up here for a long time. I've got no idea how long I've got left, so if someone could give me an indicator, that'd be great. Okay? Otherwise, man, I'm having a ball. Don't know about you, but I got a shitload more I could talk about than 12 minutes. If it stays at 11:59, you and I are in for a long day. Attention and awareness. What do you pay attention to? What are you aware of? And we've already heard some people talk about today. Ari beautifully talked about open your eyes, be aware. Okay, so if you walk past the person, and I did it yesterday in the Fountain Gate Shopping Centre on my way through, and there was a chick, she had a box of Krispy Kreme donuts with a couple of things precariously balanced, kid on hip, and another small toddler in the car park, trying to get this tiny little kid who was doing her best to open up the back flap of the massive big 4-wheel drive that they'd driven in. And she's like, just pull on it, just pull it. And the little kid's like going... And I had 2 options. I went for the Krispy Kreme donuts because I thought it would have been weird if I'd asked her if I could hold the kid for you. So I went for the box of donuts. 2 simple things, 3 seconds, hold the donuts, you're in the car, here's your donuts, and I'm on my way, okay? So be aware. What do you pay attention to? Comprehension and coping. Now that I'm paying attention, now that I'm aware, how am I making sense of it? How am I taking it on board? What am I thinking about it? And what's my strategy for coping with it? Let's say it's exactly what I hope for. Do I go, shit, I was really hoping that this wouldn't work so I wouldn't have to be accountable for it. I was kind of actually hoping that, oh, there you go, there's an excuse, I tried, didn't work, see ya. Or do you have the ability to stand up and go, that's exactly what I was hoping for and what's next? What happens if it doesn't work out how you hoped? How do you take that on board? When you have your epic fail, do you have the ability to reassess and to say, doesn't matter, what else could I do or what could I do differently? That's how we comprehend the world around us. It's how we cope with the world around us. So what do you do in that space of your landscape? The third place is emotion. Emotion is the most critical part of our experience as human beings. Okay? And our ability to understand what it is that creates negative emotion in us, and negative emotion is very, very important. It alerts us to stuff that's not right, that requires attention. So what do we do when we get those messages? Do we think about what's required? Do we take some sort of action in order to right what that data's telling us isn't right? And do we know what lights us up? Do we know how to create positive emotion? And do we deliberately participate in those activities? So I have a shitty day at work, I get home, my other half says, how was your day? It was shit. Here's the thing, I'm not saying that I have to not acknowledge that my day was not so great, but do I need to sit there for the next 5 hours making all of the people around me miserable? Could I choose to participate in something else that elicits positive emotion? Do I even know what gives me a sense of positive emotion? And in that moment, I could choose to do that thing that changes the direction. And then all of a sudden, so does my landscape. The next one is goals and habits. Now, this is a really interesting one. Habits get a really, really bad run because everyone thinks habits are evil. Habits have got one of the very best characteristics that we can build. They are automatic. They are effortless. They're the best characteristics that we could build in our landscape. Do the habits that you have, here's where you want to make the decision. Do they enhance your well-being, or do they detract from your well-being? But please don't think that you have to get rid of all your habits. You've just got to build more habits that enhance your well-being. If being helpful was a habit, two really powerful characteristics: autopilot, automatic. That just means we would just automatically walk around helping people. How cool would that be? We didn't have to think about it. It just happened. That's the beauty of habits. So the habits that we build, we just want to have more habits that enhance our well-being than detract from our well-being. So, back off on getting guilty about your habits. The last one I'm going to talk about is virtues and relationships. In the breakout session this afternoon, I'm going to spend a little bit more time in this space in much more detail. But we know that people who have strong networks of quality connections, have better outcomes in life than people that don't have a network of quality connections. Okay? And part of getting quality connections is living in a virtuous way, because that's what makes you attractive to other humans. Does that make sense? So understanding what are the characteristics that I want to define me as a human being, how I turn up every day, has an impact on the quality of the connections and who I connect with, and the influence that I can make in that space. And the greater quality we have there, things like our values, what's most meaningful to us. And we can explore that later on for those of you who want to come to that breakout session. 5 empirical areas of your landscape. I'm going to leave you with these 2 slides now as I finish up. When things go well, who do you share it with? Have you actually got people that you can share the good stuff with? And when you do share it with them, do they celebrate with you? Hi honey, I got a promotion. Did you pick up the dry cleaning on your way home? Kate talked about it. Oh, I've got this really cool idea. Yeah, but you can't call it that. Okay? The kid walks in. Mum, have a look at this project. I got an A. Did you pick your shoes up or have you left them by the bottom of the stairs? Okay? So, who have you got to celebrate with, and do they celebrate with you? Do you think about your contribution? Do you actually own the good shit? I did that. Or I did part of it. Do you pause and savour it? Do you reflect on the contribution of others and acknowledge and accept that other people have helped you get to where you are today? And make sure that you remember that. And do you have the ability to express gratitude? Last slide, because, I'm not really going to go technically with the 0, right? Because we've had front pages around sporting competitions where there was a little bit of issue over whether the clock was right or wrong. Last slide, right? Sorry, Matt. When things don't go well, because remember, this is not a world of unicorns and rainbows. But when things don't go well, do you have someone to share it with? Do you have someone that you can go and sit with and go, do you know what? This is not right. It didn't work. I'm not in a good place. And when you do share it, do you get the support that you need? Do those people give you the nourishment that you need to sit, reevaluate, and take a step forward? Do you reflect on your contribution? Are you able to own it? Or are you the sort of person that makes it everybody else's fault? It's not my fault. It's not fair. They've got more friends than me. They've got more money. They went to a better school. Right? So you get to actually own your bit and go, well, actually, do you know what? I was a bit of a dick. So I should probably own that bit. Okay? But when you do own it, what do you do next? Do you beat yourself up? Or do you inspire and motivate yourself to be better? So the next step you take is better than the last one. Do you reflect upon the contribution of others? Because you're not always responsible, not 100%. So do you have the ability to be balanced and go, actually, there's some other pretty ordinary contributions that have led to this. But then when you do that, how good are you at forgiving? How many grudges are you holding? How big's that bag of pebbles that you're carrying over your shoulder? Is it starting to weigh you down? Reevaluate. Step forward. It's a landscape. Flourishing happens in moments, and the goal is to build more moments of flourishing. Thank you.
The Hero Roundtables are the global events that ask the question, what is a hero? You've just seen one hero talk. To find more and join the conversation, visit our website or social media.